Introduce yourself because
I'm 5'7", otherwise known as Kidd.icarus, otherwise known as the Prince of Poets, and I'm an artist from Manassas, Virginia.
sweet. And when you say Kid Icarus, are you talking about like the game, right?
It is inspired by the game and the myth of Icarus.
Awesome.
So it's a blend between two. It's a double entendre. It's one of my alter egos. I actually had a conversation with my friend earlier. He was confused by it. I generally give it gray area and let people interpret it. And then if they flat out ask me, then I'll answer the question. But those other names are alter egos. 5'1" is the main artist.
That's cool. Because I was listening to, I can't remember what the thing was on SoundCloud, but I heard a Mega Man sound clip and I saw like the Kid Icarus thing. I was like,
Yeah.
it's gotta be. You gotta tell me some of the, like, how do you do? Because when I make stuff, I always use I try to do samples of things I like. Is that what you do? You just things that you like, I would identify with that you enjoy, and you're like, I want to.
So yeah, a lot of the samples that like I'll pick out for producers to kind of like build around.
Yeah.
Like the Mega Man one that you heard for Wily's Castle. I picked that because that was like childhood favorite. I think that's the best Mega Man video game like song that they have.
Mega Man 2.
Yeah.
That game's awesome. Yeah.
That it's amazing. So I'd like to pick a lot of stuff from my childhood. Or Sonic, I was a big Sonic fan. That's like, Green Hill or Ice Caps. And Kid Icarus is another game that I like to play as well.
Like the original Kid Icarus? Like
yeah.
Because
they only have
hard
like
as shit.
3 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's the one on the DS. I haven't played that one. My best friend was supposed to let me use it, but he didn't let me use it. So hopefully he lets me use it one day, or I'll just have to buy my own copy.
I think we're both cutting out though a little bit.
Yeah, it's just the mic placement of it.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna get like this.
Yeah, that's a bit better.
All right. But like there's the one on Game Boy, and because that's one of my things. Like when I do film and stuff, but like I really 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 love like retro games and stuff. Like I have like a collection. Like I was actually sorting all my Nintendo games the other day. Like I've just been like, because if you've ever like how the price like I'm like completely it's ridiculous. Like
it's
Kid
crazy.
Icarus is like $40 now.
Really?
Yeah, something like that. It's like $40 or $30.
Because I used to play on my GameCube, and I moved around a lot in high school.
Yeah.
So when I moved my senior of high school into like right when I was about to go to school and COVID and all that, all of my like GameCube games and I don't have it anymore. So I had to rebuild my collection. So I was looking at Double Dash, the Mario Kart game.
Oh geez, yeah, even that's expensive.
Yeah, they like thousands of dollars for the one game, and I was able to find it and get it for like cheap. So that's like the only game that I've like rebuilt for my collection for like GameCube games.
This summer I went to this arcade in Frederick, Maryland, and they had this thing where it was a thrift store and they had all these original Xbox games like $2. It's like just a disc, but it's like okay, whatever. You can just copy them to your hard drive. And then they had Smash Melee there, and it was $60. And I was like, that's sad that that's still a good price for that game. So
no, I mean I
bought it, but it was like I felt bad. I was like I paid full what this would have cost like 20 years ago.
I mean, it's like people like us who want to play the games will appreciate that it's not an arm and a leg, but you can understand that it's like, like this is a gem. They don't know what they're selling. So you can appreciate and kind of like, I guess feel bad about it. I personally don't, because I'm like, that's a steal. Like
that is a steal.
Same thing with comic books.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I have a lot of comic books too. Like I used to like, that's all I used to do in like middle high school, was just collect like stuff like that. So I have a bunch of like, and I kind of stopped, like I limited myself because it's like, because it seemed like after COVID era, all the prices went up on everything. And it's like,
definitely.
It makes sense, but at the same time, it's like I can't just buy comic book. I just buy new issues, and I only have 2 things that I'm subscribed to. Like there's these like indie comics I'm subscribed to, and that's about it, because I don't really buy. I don't know about you though.
I had a lot of Marvel comics growing up, but I also lost the collection. So I still have the Infinity Gauntlet issues 1 through 6.
Oh, you have the issues?
Yes.
Awesome.
And then I have I only have 1 Secret Wars issue, and it's the first one.
That's a good one to have.
I'm trying to shop around to find 8, because the first one and the 8th one are the most expensive ones because the cover. And now that they're doing Secret Wars, I'm trying to get it before the movie comes out, because after that, it's gonna shoot up.
You ever see they did that? The Sandman.
Yeah.
They did that show now.
Yeah.
And like the issue, I went to a comic store, and the issue, even before the show came out, they were like, it was starting to go up. It was like $100.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't buy that.
People are hopping on the wave.
Yeah.
So
But it kind of like, I think like it does kind of go back to music, because the same thing with albums. It's like when I make music like that, kind of like I want to have something where it's like even in like 20 years, somebody will be like, even if it's just a soundtrack, they'll be like, this is something to come back to. And I think
definitely.
Yeah.
Cause well, it's funny you mentioned like music and vinyls. Cause I have a cousin. Well, I have two of them. They collect vinyls, and I say to one of them like, I don't collect vinyls anymore, because I have a friend that tells me collections are a rich man's hobby, and I think it's very true. That's why I don't feed too much into my, video game and comic book collection.
I get that.
Because right now it's like I don't have the money to be dumping into getting that, but in the future I will. So that's kind of how I feel about that.
That makes sense, because it's like, it was more when I was like, I had more disposable income. I wasn't like going here. I was like, okay, I'll buy more stuff. And eventually it kind of slowed down to the point where it's like, every once I'll be like, okay, it's on eBay. It's like half off. It's like, I'll get it. But like those records over there.
Oh, yeah. Are those yours?
Well, those on the left are the previous person who ran the station. Actually,
and bro just left them?
Well, no, he still goes here. He just left them here to like use.
No. I was about to say.
But like those are mine, and I've got those over the past like 5 years. But people would just like would give them to me, like my aunt and all that.
Yeah.
And that's what the catalog for the station is right now, like all those tapes and stuff. I brought all the stuff that I kind of accumulated, so I could start to get like even like stuff that I don't use anymore. I leave it here so that way I can get rid of it. I am trying to declutter. Like if you saw my room, you wouldn't think so, but like I am really trying to like.
Hey man, I know a lot of people who have messy rooms. So you don't gotta worry about that.
But yeah, tell me about, I guess, your process, how you do, because I think you said you had like producers. How do you start that?
Generally, like my process kind of evolved, I guess. Now it has. Before it was just, I used to just write in like a book. I still do that, but now it's like last night I was making a song.
Yeah.
And just depends on if I'm with a producer, if I'm producing it myself, or if it's YouTube.
Yeah.
But producer, I genuinely know what I want to make, because it's a gift and a curse. I feel like a lot of the projects are just stuff that I release. I already know what I want. Like I know the theme. I know like, okay, it might be called this, or this is what the song is about. And I'll be like, make it like this, I want the instruments to sound like this. I want it to be this type of vibe.
Yeah.
I don't like how this sounds. And that's generally how the beat goes. I used to use a lot of samples, but now I'm kind of like staying away from samples for right now, because I'm not trying to get sued. No,
that's the thing, because I was actually reading about that, because a lot of my favorite rap albums, they're based around samples. And it's like it's important, but at the same time, ever since like even like the early 90s, it's like they totally cracked down on it. And I understand like people like are like that I made that. But at the same time, personally, I think if I made something, I would rather have somebody be like take a clip out of it, because it's not like you're taking the whole song out of it. You're taking a clip out of it. I don't get that.
I mean, there's like, I don't know if there's 100%, but this is what I go off of. If you can change it up to where it doesn't sound like you're like straight ripping the song, then I think you can get away with it. Because all the samples in my stuff, like the more noticeable ones, like I have a song Belief In.
Yeah.
The sample is noticeable. But with Ice Caps, unless if you were like a hardcore fan, you might not notice it. So it's like I guess that's how I treat it. I try to make it sound not exactly like it, to where it's different, at least. And obviously I'm not using the whole song.
Yeah, but like some of the best albums ever made are literally made out of samples.
That is also true.
Like
I do agree.
I think like I don't have the CD here. I had it like, what was that? There's this the Public Enemy album, Fixation Million, and it's all it's like there's like it sounds like there's like little bits of like instrumentation, but it's like all samples, and that's like a 70-minute. They like chop that like with something like this where there's like beat things. That's insane. That's honestly, that is art.
I mean, the thing is with that and like now is a lot of people like that was when rap was just starting, and it was like break beats and stuff. So it's like there's also not social media too. So if you were using somebody's stuff, they probably
it's hard to find.
Yeah, and then it's just like people obviously wanted money back then, but it's not like, oh, I'm gonna sue them for this. I can make millions of dollars because it's getting millions of streams and stuff like that. So I think over the years, it's people are more nitpicky about it.
Yeah, because I was reading about that because I was trying to figure out, because there's like, it seemed like a lot of albums, it was like that same year. It was 1988 and 1989. There was the Beastie Boys. They did, what's that album, Paul's Boutique 2. They did the same thing.
Yeah.
Like all these samples. And they cleared them back then because it was like, it wasn't cheap. But then there was like a year after, it was this Biz Markie album. I don't remember what it was, but the Turtles sued him. And then ever since then, it was like you couldn't.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's been 30 years. Or
I
something.
mean, Dre literally some of the stuff off of like NWA stuff was sampled.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, Ye does the same thing. So it's just about like licensing and all that and the rules with it, copyright.
I do find it fascinating how people blend it together, because it's like if you listen to like the Chronic, it's like he's playing the synthesizer on it. He's obviously playing that, but then he's also taking samples and putting them in, so he's like mixing them together.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I find fascinating.
That's tough.
Yeah. That's a great album. I love that album. I only have it on CD. I never got it on vinyl because
they I don't know. Do you listen on Apple Music or Spotify?
Honestly, I used to use Spotify. I moved to Tidal because I have a little MP3 player that uses Tidal. So it's like it's the same price. So I was like, fine.
Because Apple Music took off some like it took off the Chronic. I don't know if it brought it back, and it took off Doggy Style, and I was so confused and kind of mad because that's my favorite. I mean, that's a Snoop classic. I think that's his best album, to be honest.
It probably is, honestly. Like
but I mean, I don't know. Apple Music can be weird sometimes.
Because I was thinking about, because we were talking about this in class last semester. It was this thing about, how like there was on Spotify, like everybody took their music off. It was like Neil Young did it. Yeah. They're all on Tidal. And I was like, look, I like Neil Young, not that much, but like I like him enough where it's like, honestly, everyone I like on Spotify is on Tidal.
Yeah.
I just did that. And it was like, it's not like they pay them that much more anyway, like, which is a whole nother thing we can get into, how much of a rip, like things like Spotify are.
Yeah. A lot of people aren't like I'm realizing now how money works in the industry.
Oh yeah, it's
a whole nother like topic that if you're a starting artist, you're gonna be very surprised on how it works, to be honest.
Yeah, I feel like that's a thing where it's like, it's almost like there's like a wall between it, because it's like almost everybody's is like, I want to do this, and then they just get taken advantage of. I mean, that just happens. Like, it's terrible. It's like it's been like that since the beginning of like having like recorded music is what from what I understand, and it's like ridiculous.
I think it was a little bit better back then, but that's just because of the development.
Yeah, it seems like it's a lot easier to like have complete like control over somebody's image now, because it's all digital. You could practically make, like, we take an image of you and put whatever, like AI put any kind of clothes you want on it, really, anything like that, mess with it. It's crazy how that stuff like that works.
I agree.
But I'm trying to think, because I didn't have a whole lot of questions. I was kind of just letting it guide itself, but I'm thinking like let's talk, like, do you want to talk about the video you're making?
The video. Oh,
I know it's a long-term project, but do you want to discuss any of that? I'll cut this out if you don't. Any kind of like, do you want? Like,
I'll say my projects that are coming up.
Yeah, talk about that.
That's like in the future.
Yes.
I mean, it's a year from now, but yeah. So right now where I'm at is I'm currently, I just released a big project last year.
I saw that.
And then I did a little EP my freshman year. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, where I'm at with my music is, I feel like I space out my stuff, like good spacing, as if a professional. Well,
what's good spacing?
What's
good spacing for you though? What is good spacing? 6 months, a year?
Well, let's see. My first EP that I released when I came here, I didn't release any like big projects. I released a little mini, 3 singles, I think a few months later on in like August. So my EP released March 2020.
Yeah.
And then my little mini singles came out in August. So that's like, almost half a year. And then the big project, 12 songs, that was like a whole year later. Mm-hmm. So it's just like, you have that whole span of months with nothing. I mean, there was singles for it, but it was like a few weeks before. So it's virtually, they went a whole year with nothing new. And I made stuff in between that time, of course, but it was like nothing released. So I feel like that's in this stage, unless if I have consistent stream, which I do, but like a good number that I'm happy with, I should be constantly releasing stuff, or at least more consistently. And that's kind of where I'm at. And I was talking to my friend last night. He was like, yeah, you need to just drop. You need to stop like hoarding stuff. I have friends who tell me, I send them stuff and they'll be like, yeah, you need to drop this. You need to drop this. But as I said earlier, how I'm like placement in my head and with concepts and stuff, I'm like, oh, this doesn't fit, or oh, this is too soon for me to do something else. It's hot and cold. I don't want to release this because of that. And then it just never sees the light of day. So now I set it up to where I planned out stuff that I'm like, okay, this is coming out. This is coming out. Like right now, I have 2 singles that should be coming out soon, and then another single to follow up that, and then I'm gonna do a little mini EP, and that's like consecutive. And all of this I'm trying to do this semester before we leave for like Thanksgiving break, but obviously no later than December. Yeah, because it's not that many songs. So that's like where I'm at with releasing stuff and like projects. It's build up for what I'm, filming my documentary for.
That's cool. But yeah, because I try to think about it, because when I make like I try to like promote the film I'm making, it'll be done by like the end of the year, right? But it's like I want to keep people's interest in it, because there's the core people that are actually working on it that I see every day. But then there's like, I would rather have it so like there's just anybody that I know on Instagram would be like, hey, you're like, actually I want them to know I'm making a movie. But I worry like I'm losing people, because I noticed like it seems like a lot now. There's like when someone makes an album, there's a lot more singles. There's like 6 singles. Like they cut it in half basically. And
it's just attention spans, and then it's build up. Because unless if like, let's say Frank Ocean drops an album tonight, everyone's gonna jump on it when they say, oh, Frank Ocean finally dropped. He dropped because he has a good fan base.
He's got that base already set up.
But the thing is, if Frank Ocean were to announce tonight, oh, I'm dropping an album a week from now, it would do, I don't know, I guess it depends because he has a good fan base. But in theory, the one that if him announcing it, it would do better in the one scenario where he does let people know, because then there's build up and he can do, he might do promotional teasers. Yeah. He might do a music video. He might drop a single. And then people are like, oh, this is what the album's going to sound like. Oh, this is going to sound like nice. Like I have to listen to it. So it's kind of like with that, with my big project, it had 12 songs. It was supposed to have 15, but I cut it because I was like, attention spans, like people who really appreciate music will listen to like big projects. But if you don't know the artist, you're least likely to want to listen to all the songs if you don't know how this person sounds, unless you really rock with them. And that comes with singles, or that just comes with, unless if you personally know them, but you're trying to engage with people you don't personally know.
Is it like, do you prefer doing like kind of like concept albums? Like I kind of think of it the way like, somebody like Pink Floyd would do it, where they try to have it be like a concept, like an essential, like, is that how you?
So kind of like when I make projects, I don't see when I make songs, I know there's like a lot of artists who can just like make songs off of like commercial stuff, like how they feel, or like luxury rap is what my friend likes to call it, or what he listens to. And I don't make luxury rap, I guess, because I'm like, one, why am I rapping about like there's people, I used to be the person like, yo, you shouldn't rap if it's not true. Like that's not rap. But you can rap about whatever you want, whether it's true or not. But that's not me, because I don't want to talk about something that isn't true, because then it's like, I'm not going to be able to believe in it if it's not real, in a sense of if there's not some truth to it. And if I don't believe in it, why are you going to believe in it? So it's like everything I do is kind of like, it stems from me, or it stems from someone that I know, or something like that. Like, with the samples, I'll pick out stuff from my childhood, like video games, movies, TV shows, whatever. So when I do concept stuff, it's like a storyline for me right now, because, we're in school and you don't have to go to school to be an artist.
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah, but I came to school because I wanted to learn the stuff that I could have taught myself, but the school could teach it to me in better ways, because there's people here who've been teaching it.
The structure of it.
Yeah, and it's easier instead of me working harder when there's an easier route. And so coming here and doing that, I set out that, okay, this is how I want to navigate my 4 years. Yeah. And these are the projects that I either came up with on the spot, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this, or I decided to change the idea because I was like, no, I might want to save this for later on. Or I'm like, no, I'm going to do that for how I'm feeling. Because my last project it took a year to make, because I didn't know exactly. I knew what I was going to talk about, and I had different sections for how I was going to do it, but I ended up changing it. And it ended up just being all the stuff that happened that year and some stuff that happened previous to that year. And that's that's where it was at. But now I'm at a phase where I'm continuously making stuff for, like, my next project will be the last project that is talking about past stuff.
Yeah.
Because it helps me understand what I went through, because it was a lot of like traumatic, like I had debts and I had relationship problems and stuff like that. So it's coping. It's, therapeutic. It's
that makes sense.
Finding closure. So a lot of it is like that.
And then you want to, after this project, build off of that, essentially. What would you do after that?
After this project that I'm doing, the next little mini thing that I will do, it's kind of like external. Like, I feel like even though I have a small fan base, in the sense of I have a fan base that's growing,
yeah,
I still want to introduce myself, because, as my fan base is growing, people are, seeing who I am and listening to what kind of music I make. So now that it's growing and I'm in that phase where it's shifting, it's I want to make stuff that now reflects on the outside view, rather than, it's just me talking about myself.
Not just internal stuff. Like,
yeah, even though some people could relate to the internal stuff, I'd rather talk about a worldview.
I like that you have everything. You have an idea of what you want to do.
Yeah,
I really do enjoy
I have
that.
My whole, like artistry career kind of planned out. It's kind of like, it's bad and good, because it's like you can't expect it. Like, I have a timeline for stuff.
Yeah.
But that's not how life works.
Yeah.
But I kind of have like, I'm going to do this project. I'm going to do this one. It'll probably come out around this year, maybe something like that. So, we'll see. But I have everything kind of like planned for how I want to go about it, because it's like it's my own movie. I'm the hero of my story.
Exactly. That's why there is overlap.
Yeah.
Whoever's listening to this interview right now, there is overlap. It's all the same. It's like, it might be music or it might be like visual, but it is all the same kind of like, it comes from the same spot in your brain, I think, personally, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I handle it in arcs. That's literally, I'm in the arc that I'm currently in right now is my side quest arc.
Like a TV show, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
But try to think, what else do you want to talk about? I'm gonna let you.
I mean, I know they typically ask like artists, how they started, stuff like that.
Yeah, that is one thing I meant to ask. I'm sorry. Yeah. No. Yeah. How did you start this? Because you obviously have you already have a whole like catalog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I originally like in the very beginning, I didn't know that I wanted to be an artist. Like, I didn't know what I wanted to do growing up. Like, some kids are like, yeah, I'm gonna be a doctor, be a fireman, or I want to be a police officer, veterinarian, or whatever.
Yeah.
I had like different things I wanted to do, but all of it was like abstract stuff. Like, I was like, I want to be an explorer, or I want to be a pilot, or I want to be like a space explorer or something. Like, it wasn't realistic, I guess you could say. And I really liked music, and I wanted to be an entertainer. Like, I wanted to be like Michael Jackson. I actually wanted to be a dancer. And I never took any dance lessons. I wasn't able to. But I would just sit in my basement and just rewatch Michael Jackson, like, music videos or, like, just dance videos. And I would just try and learn.
Try to do it, yeah.
Yeah. And I did that for, like, I think, like 2 years. And then I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to be a dancer. The interest left, but I was like, I still want to be an entertainer. So then I tried to be a pop singer or like a pop artist. Yeah. And in high school, I would try and write pop songs during lunch if I would finish my lunch early. And they weren't good. I was like, this is kind of hard. Mm-hmm. And then I got into hip hop because I used to listen to a lot of older music. Yeah. So when I got into hip hop, I was like, yo, this is really nice. Like,
what were you listening to?
My first hip hop album was either the Slim Shady LP, Straight Outta Compton, or I think it was a Will Smith album as well, but it was one of those two. Yeah. But I had obviously, I heard like modern hip hop artists, like they play Drake and stuff like that, and Kanye West. Yeah, of course. But like my first album that I sat and listened to was like Straight Outta Compton, Slim Shady LP, Marshall Mathers, Ready to Die. I think Me Against the World by Tupac. A lot of those, like a lot of older,
just the classics,
older artists like Rakim.
Yeah, like Eric B.
Yes. A lot of that. Tribe Called Quest. So I was like, yeah, I like this. I like how they rhyme. I like how they tell stories. So then I started writing my own poems and stuff like that. And then that's how I started getting into the rap music. And in high school, no one knew that I was an artist because I didn't know if people would like it or not. And
you
the
didn't,
music,
you didn't try to project it. You just kind of did
yeah,
it.
I kind of did it, and I was like, yeah, this is what I do. But like, I know a lot about like people knew that I liked hip hop, and they knew that I was about hip hop, and that I listened to older music, but they didn't know that I was an artist.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, oh, they might think it's trash. And it was like, there'd be some times where it's like, you know, people freestyle. Like freshman year, we used to freestyle after school and just like have battles. And I would do that. But it wasn't anything like, oh, he's a rapper. No, it's just, you know, I was just there doing it. So it was like incognito, I guess.
You reminded me, there was this thing in 4th grade where all these kids, back where I used to live, it was Pennsylvania, it was the middle of nowhere. And for some reason, we all decided we wanted to have like a rap battle, which I don't know why, but we were all like seriously like 10 years old. So we wrote them all out on paper, and it was it was so interesting how everybody still wanted to get in a circle and wanted to like basically like everybody still was interested, but it was like there was an I think there was like, because I used to be in class, I used to try to like, I don't know, I tried to like be like, you know, kind of like more annoying, but I kind of try to get people's attention. I think it's the same impulse this day as I do the same thing, just trying to get people's attention, like make them something crazy.
Yeah, a lot of people kind of start, like some artists start with rapping, just doing that. Like that was Biggie Smalls, I think Lil Tecca. But a lot of it's just, you know, rapping for your friends and stuff like that. Like, you know, be after school waiting for the activity bus, you know, somebody claps. And then you just, you know, you just
start.
Yeah, you just start, or you like, you know, you're making fun of somebody, I guess. So and there was a dude who went to my school. Bro used to like pull up and just like freestyle. Like it wasn't good. It was all right, but like he would just freestyle. So he used to always be after school. So, you know, we would try and battle him, and everyone would just try and like take a piece out of it. Like,
could anybody, or was
no? I mean, like, we could. Like, he was kind of nerdy. Like, we weren't bullying him. It sounds like we were bullying him.
No, it's not like that.
But like, he, you know, we would freestyle battle him.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it was. So that was like one of the things that I was like, that was like my early starts of doing it in front of people. Or there was one time I was with my friends at one of their houses, and we were in the basement, and I think we were just like messing around. They played like YouTube beat, and then I tried that was like my first time like me just soloing freestyling.
Yeah.
And obviously you can imagine it wasn't good, and I choked, you know. I stuttered, I didn't say it didn't sound like what I thought in my head. So they laughed at me, and I was like, oh damn, you know. That was just like the start of, you know, me trying to see how people were. And then my sophomore year, I was like, I reached out to those friends. I was like, yeah, I'm trying to do music. That's what I want to do. I think this is what I'm meant to do or whatever. You know, I was like, y'all want to do music? Like, this is what we could do. You know, we don't want day jobs. We want to make money. We like the lifestyle. We're into music.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, let's start a group. And they were like, nah, I don't really want to do group music. Like, I just want to be a solo artist.
Yeah.
But when I'd pull up to their house and I'd be like, let's work on songs, one of my friends, he'd be like, okay, we pull up YouTube beats. He'd be like, I just can't think of anything, or I just don't want to be loud at my house. And then we just sit there for 30 minutes, and, you know, he didn't write anything, and I'd be like, yo, that was a waste of time. Like, when it came to making the song.
We used to do that, the same thing. It'd be like, we used to, like, kind of, it wasn't even music. We would just, like, try to make, like, obnoxious noise. Like, I honestly want to play it at some point on the radio, because we would sit there and would try to, like, make the worst sounds we possibly could, like, hook up a synthesizer and just, like, let the feedback and stuff. But we would scream all this stuff. And then we got our music teacher to play one time. This was 8th grade. We're like, put the CD in. He had giant speakers because he had a music teacher.
Y'all set, bro.
And he started, and all of a sudden you just hear like this stuff, and then it just starts. It's like, all right, it's like warning. It's like, okay, so like warning. It's like turn down your speakers. All of a sudden it's just like and it was like, but we used to do like kind of like more stuff for like soundtracks and stuff like that. That was more what it was about. It was like we would get together and we'd be like, okay, we're gonna make a bunch of songs. Make like 2. They were barely even songs, and then we just leave. Like,
see,
same kind
we
of thing.
didn't even. It was so that was how it was sophomore year.
Yeah,
and then it was 3 of us in my friend group, and the other one was like, you know, he was wasting my time. I was like, well, all right then. So then I hit up my other one. I was like, yo, he's wasting our time. Let's just start something, just us two, because you're serious about it. I'm serious about it. You write stuff. I write stuff. Let's just do a duo. He was like, all right then. We were working on a song. The third friend hears about it. He was like, yo, let me hop on y'all's song. I was like, okay, he can't even write his verse. He wrote his verse. He did a few songs with us. So then it was just a duo, me and him. And sometimes our friend would do stuff, or he would like
He just would feature on every once in a while.
Mix our stuff too, but not really mixing. Because before I came here, my whole process of how this works, I had no idea. Like I would go, we would be in my basement. I'd have Apple headphones, the cords, and we'd get the YouTube beat, put it on the GarageBand on our phones.
Yeah. Oh, you use GarageBand too?
Yeah. And we would record it on the phone. You do the verse like this, in the closet, and then the song's
with the
done.
Apple.
Yeah. Then the song is done after I'd do a good take, and then we send it to him, and he would just put like echo.
That's
like reverb, and he'd be like, yeah, I mixed it.
Put a little delay on it. It's like
and it wasn't like, he wasn't like EQing it. He wasn't compressing. He was just, he just did the two things. And I basically was like, that was what I thought was, okay, this is the start.
Yeah.
But subconsciously, he wasn't really doing shit. And I was like, I didn't really know that was like not even the tip of the bucket. Mm-hmm. And I knew subconsciously that the music, it wasn't like it. I thought it wasn't that good, but like, I was like, there's parts where I was like, this is what I wrote. I kind of believed it, but I didn't.
You wanted to do it.
I wasn't confident in it because to me, it wasn't good. And I thought it was good, but like looking back, and I was like, no, that wasn't good. So I'm kind of glad, but I wish that I was more confident about it, but I wish that I did it differently. But that's just the progress that I made because, throughout my junior and senior year, it was a duo. And then senior year, I kind of took up space from that friend group. And then I started doing stuff on my own, and they were releasing stuff, but it was like, he did his own thing. And then we had a plan that when we go to college, we'd go to the same school, or we'd just move out of Virginia and then we'd do music. Yeah. But he ended up going to the military. So that didn't happen. Yeah. And I was like, no, I'm going to still be an artist because I'm not, he said that he would be a bum because he wasn't going to go to school. So he was just going to we would just do music. But he didn't like the idea that he thought that he would seem like a bum if he was just, yeah, in a different area. But I don't think that that's the case because when you work on something, you go after something, it doesn't matter what other people think.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, I personally, it's like I work in McDonald's. That's how I fund all my stuff. It's like, and if people might see it and they might be like, oh, some asshole that just works in McDonald's. It's like, yeah, I could be an asshole, but it doesn't mean, like it doesn't mean anything because it's like I'm still making my movie. So you basically, it's like,
no, I get that's how I was trying to explain it to him because we didn't really fully try it. We did try it, but it wasn't my 100%, and we weren't educated. There was a lot of stuff that was not right about when I did it. So that phase, it feels like a whole nother life because I'm a completely different artist now. Like my old stuff I listen to and I'm like, this isn't good. It's a start. Yeah. But when I came here, it was just me by myself. I didn't know anyone, obviously, because it's college. Yeah. And I didn't know much about the industry. When I came here, I learned all this stuff like recording processes, about DAWs, about mixing, about mastering, about producing, all this stuff. And I was like, I thought I had a good idea of the industry based off of my knowledge of how it worked in the 90s, but it's not the 90s anymore. Yeah, that's not how it works.
I feel like it's a lot more complex now. Yeah. In certain ways, it's like, it's nice how it's decentralized. You don't have to go to a label, but at the same time, it's like, how do you establish when there's so many people? Basically, it's like you're screaming and like, you're standing in a field and nobody can hear you because there's so many other people at different points. Like, it's just.
And I didn't even know that. Because back in high school, my music was all on SoundCloud. Yeah. I didn't know about distributors or anything like that.
You just put it on SoundCloud.
Yeah, and that's when I learned, when I came here, found out about the distributors. I started making songs. I released a little EP on SoundCloud, but I took it down because it wasn't that good. And that was when I made the EP that is out because I had met people who showed me how to who told me about the mixing process. They'd mix the stuff for me. They'd master stuff for me. Yeah. They made the beats. And that was when I was finally feeling like I started. And that's how I started with music up until now, obviously.
Yeah, I like that. There was a certain point of where you just kind of started and it was kind of stuff that you, after a while, you thought was kind of juvenile. That happened to me with my movies because if you go on my YouTube, it's there's all these things I made when I was in like 8th grade or whatever. It's I show it to people as a joke, but I don't it's not me. And in fact, I feel like I only became me barely last year when I did my actual first short. And that was the only time where I actually felt like I did it. Yeah.
And even now, my best work is ahead of me. When I make a project and I listen to the old stuff, when I perform it, if I really like it, I really like it. But I'm just like half the songs on my project that I just released, I look back, I'm like, yeah, that's old me.
Yeah.
You can go back and listen to it, but I'm moving forward with what I want to do and how I want to transition. So, I mean, I wasn't even going to go to school to be an artist. Actually, I forgot to mention that. I was going to go to school to be a lawyer, and I was going to do music on the side.
Yeah.
But I ended up, COVID, I was like, no, all eggs in one basket, I guess. And I decided to do that. And that's why, this wasn't my first choice to come here.
So you started this the same year I did then?
2020 was when I graduated high school.
Yeah, that's when that was... at first, until the February of that year, which is funny, it was like just before COVID, I was like, what am I going to do? I came to Shenandoah and I was like, oh, they have a film program. And then one of my friends, because I went to John Hanley, I moved here.
Yeah. Oh, so you're from Winchester?
Well, I mean, I was from Pennsylvania till about 2018. And then I was like, okay, my dad lives here. So I was like, okay, I live in Winchester now.
Oh, okay. I get you.
One of my friends like, I'm going to Shenandoah. My friend Tommy, by the way, if you're listening. But like, basically, I was there and it was like, it's like, I want to be a film director. And it's like, that's crazy. And it's like, but I want to do it too. I've been doing that since I was like, 13 or whatever, with like a little camcorder, like a Dollar General camcorder. Like you could not even hear the audio, but I was still trying to like do it. And I came here and I was like, I'm going to do it. And it is funny we came at the same time because I do like, it's amazing. Like the parallels, like listening, and it makes me feel good. It's like that other people like do it because it's like I don't run into a lot of people like that, honestly.
I mean, yeah, it's because currently it's just like, this is the origin story. Yeah. That's what these 4 years are. So this like the project that I'm filming my documentary for, that's coming out next year. It's like everything that I've done here was for this. It wasn't, yes, it was for me to be an artist and to like hone my skills and stuff, but it was all for this. This is my spirit like bomb. Thing. Yes, this is my trump card, all of that.
Spirit bomb, yes.
Yes.
Sweet.
So that's how I feel about it. I guess it's like let's see, what else is that in like interviews? That's like influences. I don't know.
Yeah, that's actually one I was gonna talk. Yeah, tell me some more, like you mentioned things you listened to before, but like tell me like more influences.
I say a lot of people like comparisons that I get.
Yeah.
I get Kendrick Lamar.
Honestly, that is the first thing I thought, because I liked the way the vocals, it's like there's a point where there's like your voice and then there's like more, it goes up into like this higher register and it's like this like altered like effect to it. And it did remind me, because I was literally just listening to Good Kid, Mad City today.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that and I was like, this is good. Like this is.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So Kendrick Lamar's one. I get Kanye now, because I started to be a little bit more raw with my vocals. But before, when people would ask me my influence, I'd be like, Kanye. They'd be like, really? And I'm like, what do you expect me to do? Like, I mean,
you don't have to be influenced by somebody. It doesn't mean you have to copy them. Yeah, you just gotta, the way they like present themselves is the main influence.
Yeah. And it was on a production side rather than like the rapping side. But now people hear it.
Mm-hmm.
I've had some people tell me Chance because of my voice.
A little bit, so that way, because it sounded like it was cutting in and out, but I think that's just because of the way the headphones were.
Yeah.
There we go.
And then, so people say Chance because of my voice, but sometimes people say JID. People used to say Cole. But like my influences, I'd say those people. But Tribe Called Quest. A lot of people, when they tell me Q-Tip, that used to like make my day because I liked Q-Tip's voice.
Yeah, he is
music. He is like a killer like hip hop voice. Tyler is another influence. Older rappers like Pac, Big L, Nas, Michael Jackson, Marvin Gaye, Prince. A lot of people think
I love Prince.
My pitched vocals, they're like, that's like Tyler the Creator, right? Or Kendrick Lamar. It is actually Prince.
Yeah, literally Prince did all that stuff. I was arguing with somebody last year about that because we were talking about, he was like who's better from like the 80s, like Michael Jackson or Prince. I was like, Prince all the way, because
you're a Prince person.
Honestly, yes.
Yeah, because I always say there's two types of people.
It's the Paisley, that's what it is.
There's Michael Jackson and there's Prince. And
look at I got these purple like
you did not see?
No, dude, I seriously do like, I just find it interesting how it's like Prince literally just did whatever, like just anything. Like,
no, he'd falsetto, he'd had to do, because my early influence of like, I had pitched down vocals as well. Yeah. It's 1999,
mm-hmm.
the intro for that. And that's where I really like, I guess where it was ingrained in me.
Yeah.
So that's like one of my influences. But I am a Michael Jackson person.
That's quite all right because they're both.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like so hard to choose. But we were arguing about that at Buzzins the one day. We were like, so who's better? I was like, well, if you're thinking about it, like.
I don't think you can compare them.
I don't think
honest.
you can. But at the same time, we were thinking because we were both thinking like the 80s. We're thinking about like some of the two biggest. It's like
that's like the two biggest things really that you like about the 80s.
Yeah, honestly, because it's like I just find it so fascinating. Like Prince would make albums and he just wouldn't release them. It's like he's like this isn't good, and then people listen to it and they're like this is amazing. He's like yeah, but I don't like it.
I mean that's how it is with my favorite Kanye West album is My Dark Twisted Fantasy. And he doesn't like that one, I guess, or he doesn't think that's his best masterpiece. But I think that is. I think that's the best Kanye album that there is.
Musicians always say that. At least the ones I noticed that seem to be like have like an idea of what they want to do. They're always like, I don't like this album, or like honestly my favorite one of my favorite bands is like Ween, right? And they would make albums like on like tape recorders, but they would do it like they would basically like there was this actually let me pull the CD. I'll show you.
Go ahead.
But like basically they would like. They made this whole album on like basically like they make this whole album on like
this is a hard cover art. My mother loves guava, but the seeds like on an off topic, the seeds are tiny and you got to be careful because if they get stuck in your teeth, it's like good game. But no, this is fire.
But they would make albums where it was like 20 songs. And they would just sit and basically all they did was do drugs all day and then record albums. But they recorded in Pennsylvania. And what they sent it to the record company, Elektra, and they basically got to keep all the advance because they recorded the album. And I just find that so crazy how like people would just make any like I don't understand how.
Sounds like the Beatles when they made what was it, Saint Pepper,
Sergeant Pepper.
I'm like a Beatles fan, but like I didn't listen to them too much. But I'm like re-listening to the discography, so I don't have all the albums memorized.
No, me neither, because I always forget, like, oh, this song's on Abbey Road. I don't know. I just know, like, the greatest hits and stuff, because I always listen in the car, you know?
No, A Day in a Life, that song is, that's my favorite Beatles song.
I actually gave that Sgt. Pepper record to my mom, because that one song, She's Leaving Home, would always make me really depressed for some reason, and I was like, it makes me sad listening to it. I gave it to my mom.
On vinyl or CD?
On vinyl. I had the record. I bought it, because I was like, you know, I have a music collection. I better have at least one Beatles album, right? Because they weren't always like my favorite, but I was like, I better have this one probably.
Do you got a favorite Beatles?
Man, I honestly don't. Maybe honestly the one I have the most of, that I've listened to the most, is the White Album.
Okay.
And I think that's kind of shown through with like everything I listen to, because it's the same thing with Ween. They would always make albums that were like 30 songs long and just whatever.
Yeah, I was about to say. I think they literally did LSD. I think when they made Sgt. Pepper.
Yeah, which it's crazy because it's like. If you look at Ween now, they would do the same. They would record with like a tape recorder, and then they play the tape, like the backing track. That there would just be two of them, right, and the sound guy. Now, if you look, they're like a whole bit. Like they had their own arc. Like they even went to Nashville to record an album. Like they did all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like they would get more and more professional with each album, and I think that's what's inspiring to me, is that it's like
growth.
Yeah, it's the growth, and that's what I respond to. Is every artist I like had growth. It's like Prince, same thing, and that's just what I find. So like I keep getting drawn to. That's all my favorite artists, stuff like that.
No, I get that. I respect that too. I'm kind of the same way as well. I think John Lennon is my favorite Beatle, even though I know he's not the best dude.
Yeah, he seemed like a total dick, but like.
Yeah, I mean, I know bro said some like wild shit.
Yeah.
I like him as an artist, but the outside stuff, I guess like my favorite good Beatle is Paul McCartney.
Yeah, that's like.
But I like John Lennon a little bit more.
Personally, if I like you know how like he did like those albums with like Yoko Ono. I like stuff Yoko Ono did better than John Lennon. Frankly.
Really?
Like when like they did that Plastic Ono band. It's just them like banging pots and pans together.
You like Yoko?
Well, yeah, I think people are just kind of like shitting on her because they're like, first off,
she broke up the Beatles.
Yeah, plus it was the 60s. There were a lot of people being racist, being like, why is he dating this like Asian lady or whatever? And then like I feel like it was a lot of things. But like if you listen to that stuff, it's like even if you don't like it, it's like this lady like she has an idea. She wants to do something. She's trying to. She has like these like concepts and she does them. And that's like, I mean, can you really fault her? I mean, she's 80 and she still does that stuff. Like she still makes her own.
I remember I went to New York and I actually saw like the building where like John Lennon got like shot, and it's just crazy hearing about the story.
Yeah, that whole situation's like
like that to me is kind of scary as an artist. Like, you know, I walk out of a building, someone asks for a signature, I'm like, nah, and then like bro just pulls out like a gun and just kills me. Like, I mean it depends on your artist like image and I guess how you are.
Yeah.
But obviously, you know, any artist could get killed whether they're a good person or not. Yeah. But it's just like the main thing I think about in the future is my children. Like, how will I handle? I don't want them to be in private school because, like, I feel like you should be in public school in the sense of like,
not private school kind of breeds like snooty. This thing where you feel
there's all kinds of other stuff with private school stuff too. Like I was in private school when I was like in kindergarten.
Yeah,
and I had to leave it because